On today's DNVR Broncos podcast, we have some drama that we're going to break down between Sean Payton and Russell Wilson. Russ fired back. We're going to break it all down. Plus, we're going to talk about why Sean Payton should not give up play calling duties. And then we're looking at the Dallas Cowboys. Big show starting now. We got some drama on today's DNVR Broncos podcast. Russell Wilson finally did it, guys. He took a shot back at Sean Payton. Ryan is shaking his head. I can't wait to break this down. And then also look ahead to the Dallas Cowboys. We're going to do it on the DNVR Broncos podcast, live from the Toyota Lounge, driven by your local Front Range Toyota stores and presented by Bet365. Use that code DNVR365 when you sign up. Ryan Koenigsberg to my left, Henry Chisholm to my right. We got you here behind the camera, and Zac Stevens rocking and rolling with you today. Ryan, you're shaking your head in what way?
Do you want to set the scene before I
let's
out?
Let's dive right into this. So the story really became a story yesterday when Russ responded, but Russ was responding to something that Sean Payton said in his post-game press conference after the Broncos beat the Giants. So the clip that he really takes a shot, if you want to say that, is about 10 seconds long. But I just want you to hear how Sean Payton gets to this place to be mentioning this. So the question that's asked to Sean is, now you guys have won 3 straight close games. How important is that for your team to win close games?
It's the thing that,
and here's his answer.
It's the thing that we didn't do a good job with a year ago. When we won, but we were in a lot of close games and they went the other direction. And then there's still 2 field goals out there, and but that's our game a little bit. You know, that's the reason it's popular. That's the reason television does so well. The system's set up in a manner to create that, and then you have to figure out ways to get the edge. And then it becomes a little contagious. Like you kind of begin to feel like you're in every game. Yeah. But I can think of 5 or 6. And I wasn't smiling. Benito told me to smile. I said, all right, I'll smile. I just think there's a lot of work ahead that, and again, I have a ton of respect for that organization. I spent 4 of my early years there, coordinating Super Bowl, first game in this stadium before 9/11, close with the Mayor Tisch family, and you know, they found a little spark with that quarterback. I was talking to John Mayer not too long ago, and I said we were hoping that change would have happened long after our game. But anyway.
Woo, that was a roller coaster right there. We talked about everything in the world before we took a shot.
Yeah, the classic A to Z Sean Payton answer.
Yeah. A to Z.
You know, they found a little spark with that quarterback. I was talking to John Mayer not too long ago, and I said we were hoping that change would have happened long after our game. But anyway.
So he's saying he would rather play Russell Wilson than Jaxson Dart, which he probably very much means from the bottom of his heart.
No, he absolutely does, but you don't need to say it. Yeah.
Okay, let's just keep this moving. Let's get to the next part.
Okay, so then yesterday, Russell Wilson, out of nowhere, responds 48 hours later and goes on Twitter and says, we've got it pulled up here. You hear it if you want to pull it up. He says, classless, but not surprised. Didn't realize you're still bounty hunting 15 plus years later through the media. Couple of emojis, then hits it with the hashtag, let's ride. Now you're shaking your head even more.
You want to know my honest take when I first read this is?
Tell me.
Finally.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Finally, Russell Wilson stands up for himself. I was really questioning his, for lack of a better term, his manhood. For the fact that he never stood up for himself. So, in a weird way, I was finally like, geez, like, thank God. Have you ever watched like a UFC fight and the guy gets knocked on the ground and then the guy's on top of him just hammer fisting his face? And you're like, please, for the love of God,
Right.
like, he's not fighting back. Stop the fight.
Right.
It was like in that, but then all of a sudden, like, he like finally rolled out of it and like threw a punch back. And I was like, okay, geez. I was like tired of watching this guy get his face pounded in. So that was honestly my main take was like, okay, good job, Russ. You finally stood up for yourself after, I don't know, 3 years.
Right.
And I had a similar reaction, except instead of finally, it was like, oh my gosh, he responded.
Yeah.
He did.
Yeah. I would take a step further and say I was like proud. Like I saw, I was like, good for you, Russ. Like it's been a tough time for years for him, and Sean just keep and like for Russ to stand up and just be like, no, we're done with this. Good for us.
I also love that he had beef with Future. Never tweeted about him. Never responded to him. Never cared.
Because Russ is a good person.
But
Like, he
Sean-
really doesn't
Sean
want to
is the
stoop.
line. Sean
He
is the
doesn't
line
want to
that he
stoop
made.
to this level, but at some point, you just have to be like, okay, stop being an asshole.
Okay, here's my next take. Can we fucking stop? Why are we still talking about Russell Wilson?
Right.
Like,
Right.
how is this still possible? Like, I get it. Sean Payton has like a deep-seated hate for Russell Wilson in his heart and in his soul. And any chance that he gets to take a little dig at him, and this was like maybe the smallest dig he's ever taken at him, I thought. Like he'll take it, but please, I never want to think about Russell Wilson being a Denver Bronco ever again. Like, if we could just let it all go and make it be the past and hopefully never have to hear let's ride or anything of the sort ever again, I would be a much happier person. We have our quarterback. We have a great football team. We're in first place in the AFC West. And somehow here in the middle of the week, of a game week, we're talking about Russell fucking Wilson.
Yep.
I'm sick of it.
That was so what Sean's going to say today, because Sean's going to be asked about this when we go to practice right after the show. Sean's going to say, look, I was just given a compliment to a young player. He's going to say that this was not about Russ and that it was about the young player. And then there's going to be a follow-up to it about, well, Russ tweeted and he's going to say, I've answered the question. We're moving on. That's exactly how the interaction is going to go. Sean is going to say he was simply just giving credit to Jaxson Dart here. He did it in a way that gave credit to the young quarterback and also hit at someone else, though.
Once again. More likely to make the Hall of Fame, Russ or Sean Payton?
Sean Payton.
Sean.
Really? I go Russ.
Nah. Way too
Sean-
steep of a cliff to fall off.
I don't think anyone's ever fallen off this big of a cliff.
It's true.
Like Russell Wilson was a Hall of Famer the day he was traded to the Denver Broncos. Since then, 3 straight years of, like you said, just falling off a cliff.
Okay. I don't think Sean is.
Sean
Sean
needs
needs
be the
a ring,
only coach
you
to
know?
ever have a Super Bowl with 2 different teams.
I think that's more of an assumption than like that is a tougher bar for me to get to than Russ didn't turn off enough voters. Enough voters are just saying like, hey, he did all those things. He didn't undo all the things he did. Those still all exist. But that's why I think it's a question.
I think Sean doesn't need another ring to be in the Hall of Fame.
Really?
If he gets one, he's an automatic lock first ballot.
I don't know. There's a lot of
no.
people who don't like Sean.
There's also but
He's
Shanahan
gonna
more
have to
impact-
leave, no
yeah.
doubt.
just the thing is with Shanahan, and
a lot
this
of people
isn't.
don't like Russ too, by the way.
I'm not trying to take anything away from Shanny, but he won it with the same team. As Ryan said, Sean would be the first coach to ever win it with 2 different teams.
I think he's got to do it though. I think neither of them are Hall of Famers right now.
Okay.
I think
And
Sean.
I think Russ has no chance of doing anything that'll get him there, while Sean
That's
actually
fair.
does.
That's fair. The thing that is crazy. I still can't wrap my mind around this. While Russ is taking a shot at Sean here, he does the bounty gate shot.
Yeah,
which
I mean,
is
he went
a
as low as he
big tank.
possibly could.
But then he ends it with hashtag Let's Ride. Does Russ not realize that was his thing that was really embarrassing? Like, that wasn't a Sean Paytonism. Like, Sean Payton should be ending his tweets dissing Russ by saying hashtag Let's Ride. Russ is doing that. That's just like, what?
I think that was almost like a shot at Broncos Country.
It was.
Russ, you did Let's
Yeah, I
Ride.
know,
That was
I
just
know, I
Broncos Country did not put this on
Also,
you.
like Broncos Country wanted to love you.
Yes. Yes.
Like for like a whole offseason, we were like, that's our cornball. Like, God, he's annoying as hell, but he's ours.
Do you remember when the home run derby a couple months after Russ was here? We did a video. You and I went down and we talked to a lot of Broncos and said, "Is Russell Wilson corny?" Like that. That was it because we were leaning into it.
Totally. And then he just sucked, and then we had nothing to like. We couldn't defend him, and it was terrible.
Yep.
Yeah. He was bad. Sean is not wrong about that.
Yeah.
But again, why are we still saying that?
Yeah, I would love for this segment to be the last time we ever talk about Russell Wilson on this show.
I'll tune in tomorrow at noon. No, we can move on from Russ. It's I agree. It's crazy that he finally responded because Sean has been taking some digs at him subtly and pretty clearly since Russ left here. Most recently, just a couple of months ago. So it is hopefully the end of the chapter.
Yeah, I mean, I
can
think
close
when
the
we were
book?
kids, they used to say like the only way to stop a bully is to stand up to him. So maybe Sean Payton will stop bullying Russ now.
So I would highly encourage tuning in to how Sean responds today, because my guess is he's going to try to put this fire out and just say it was a compliment to Jaxson Dart, which in one way it was.
Yeah, but nobody cares about that part of it. Jaxson Dart doesn't even care. Jaxson Dart's mom doesn't even hear that and be like, "Oh, well, that's nice."
Sean Payton approves.
Jaxson Dart's mom hears this is like, "Yeah, Russ sucks."
I don't know.
So probably everybody agrees, but that doesn't mean you need to keep saying it.
Has Sean ever been asked anything that relates to Bountygate at all since he's been in Denver?
No, not since he's been in Denver. No.
So I think today will probably someone's going to ask the follow-up, like, how do you feel about him bringing up Bountygate? Or maybe they won't.
No, it's a great point. And then I'll ask the follow up about what do you think about hashtag Let's Ride?
Whoa, the press conference will end after Bountygate. There will not be another question.
Well, what's funny about that is something that we're going to talk about in just a second. Should Sean Payton give up play calling? Let me know in the Twitter chat. Do you think he should? We know he's not going to, but should he? Do you want him to give up play calling? Because I'm going to ask you two that exact same question. If you're tuned in later, make sure to let us know in the comment section below, and I'll give you a couple minutes to do that before I give a shout out to our friends over at Christie Sports, where 2 days ago I had my neighbors ask, we're going to rent some skis and snowboards for the season. Where should we go? Literally the number one place that popped into my mind. The only place I would go is Christie Sports, because they've got high quality gear, industry leading prices, over 50 locations everywhere you love to ski and ride, an exceptional service. They've got Christie Sports up in the mountains. If you want to do a last second rental, get some last second gear. They have Christie Sports down in Denver. If you want to get it ahead of time, they have everything. They've got the right gear with season rentals. You rent once and you enjoy your gear all season long. Book with the peace of mind. Enjoy risk-free booking with free cancellation before your season rental pickup date. Ski or ride just 5 days as an adult or 3 days for kids, and your season rentals pay for themselves. And they also have complimentary tuning all season long and free size swaps for your gear. And you can get 20% off your season rentals when you book online with the link in the comments below and use the code DNVR20. Must book season rentals online to get the discount. Book by November 23rd. Outside is better with expert service and advice in every store.
And shout out to Common Spirit. If you've got anything going on, maybe Sean Payton hurt your feelings. Can a hospital fix feelings? I'm not sure.
There's mental health services. Yeah,
They do have mental health services. There we go. Common Spirit Health, they've got more than just hospitals and clinics. They're a team of passionate and expert caregivers dedicated to your well-being, woven into the very fabric of your community. From preventative care to advanced surgical solutions, their skilled physicians and caring staff are here for you. They offer personalized treatment tailored to your unique needs. You can expect a blend of cutting-edge technology with a commitment to human kindness at their 20 hospitals, 240 clinics, and care sites right here in Colorado. So whether you need a routine checkup, you're managing a chronic condition, there's an emergency, you can always trust Common Spirit to deliver exceptional care close to home. Experience the difference compassion makes. Find a Common Spirit location near you. Discover a new standard of health and healing by visiting mountain.commonspirit.org. Common Spirit Health, official healthcare partner of the Denver Broncos.
And shout out to our presenting sponsor, Bet365. Use that code DNVR365 when you sign up. Place a $5 bet after depositing $10, and you're going to get $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. All right, guys. So on Monday, after scoring 0 points in the first 3 quarters before the offensive explosion, after that game, Sean Payton was asked a question. Will you consider giving up play calling now for a short period of time to see if that helps? Will you just consider it at all? And here's Sean Payton's 5-second answer to that.
No, I think we're comfortable as an offensive staff of how we're operating.
And as Henry said, that's when the conference call ended with Sean. And we didn't get like a last question before that. It ended right after that because Sean is probably just so offended, so disgusted that would even be mentioned with his career.
And he's right. He's right. There are 3 narratives going around Broncos country right now that are completely asinine. And this is the second worst.
What are the other 2?
The worst one is that Riley Moss sucks.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the furthest thing.
Yes.
The second one is that Sean Payton should give up play calling duties, and the third one is that like Alex Singleton is some bum.
Yep.
Damn, you're spot on with all 3.
Yes. This one is close to first place though, and I've been trying to think about how to explain this for like 2 days now, but it's like if Sean Payton were to give up play calling duties, you're basically punting on the whole situation.
Yeah.
Like Sean Payton is here as the head coach of the Denver Broncos to call plays and develop Bo Nix, and those 2 are supposed to form a bond that reaches the levels of Sean Payton and Drew Brees and gets to a Super Bowl caliber, offense. That's the entire thing we're doing here. So for Sean Payton to give up play calling is just saying like, all right, we're giving up. That's not going to work. And
Might
if
as well
that's
get
not
rid
going
of
to
Bo
work,
too.
then Sean Payton shouldn't even be the head coach of the Broncos. Now, the Broncos are 5-2 and in first place in the AFC West, but we're obviously not punting on the whole operation right now. That's the only way I can think of to explain this in like the most bird's eye view look without getting into like the details of every play and what he should be calling. But it's like the whole point of this is Sean Payton and Bo Nix and their relationship growing. And I think that's one of the reasons why Sean Payton is so stubborn and maybe unwilling to change things right now just to do what is easiest for Bo and what's working the best for Bo right now is I think Sean Payton is taking the 5,000-foot view and saying, well, hold on. I need Bo to get to here for us to have the success that I think we can have together. And if I just am happy with him being here and lean into everything here, then I don't think we'll ever be able to get here. So when push comes to shove and the game's on the line, sure, let me pull the ripcord and say like, okay, like just go be Bo. Let's go hurry up. Let's do all that stuff. We don't really have any other choice at this point. I think Sean is being stubborn and stuck in his ways a little bit earlier in the games because he's saying like, I need Bo to get to that level with this stuff.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. You took a 5,000-foot approach, which I absolutely love and completely agree with. I'm going to take a 500-foot approach here and look at this season in general. Sean Payton's play calls and designs have been responsible for I'm very comfortable saying over half of the touchdowns that the Broncos scored. So if you don't want Sean to call plays, you can probably eliminate half of the touchdowns that the Broncos have got. Let's just look at the most recent touchdown the Broncos had with Bo Nix. That was a designed run to the left. Sean Payton drew it up where everything was on the right side. It looked like it was going to go to the right side. That made the defense go to the right side. And then boom, you get 3 offensive linemen on a defensive lineman, a linebacker, and then the secondary. That was set up and called by Sean. And what did it turn into? What looked like was going to be a 5-yard gain at first turned into a 25-yard touchdown for the Broncos. Let's look at the only touchdown scored in the New York Jets game. Nate Adkins, wide open. That was a 100% play call, play design, touchdown. That was Sean Payton. Yeah, Bo gets it on his stats, but that was Sean Payton. We can go through every single game, and I can almost guarantee you that over half the touchdowns have been purely play design. So if you don't like Sean Payton as a play caller, play designer, you don't like a lot of the touchdowns the Broncos have had, and I'll let Henry speak, but are there issues with things that are going on with the offense that are Sean's fault? Of course.
Yes.
But taking away play calling would set you back so far this year, but also for the future, as Ryan kind of laid out.
Yeah, I mean, the problem on Sunday was the players. Like, they just were not good enough to win that football game for 3 quarters. Like, don't forget how the game started. You got Pat Bryant just wide open on a little hitch route. Should have had a free 5 yards on the first play, your first offensive play of the game, and Bo Nix just sails it over his head. You're like, well, that's not Sean's fault. Then you have the next couple throws, hit guys in the hand. Sure, they're kind of contested. Court should have caught his. Troy's was a little bit tougher. You got 3 and out, though.
Yeah.
There's all the overthrows. Like, Bo couldn't hit the broadside of a barn, as the people... Is that phrase here, too?
Yeah.
Okay, that's not just a Montana thing. I think,
couldn't hit water if you fell out of a boat.
Oh, that's probably more coastal.
Yes.
But so like with Bo, you have so many passes, probably 3 or 4 that just like skipped to a receiver. We were just like, how is this happening? You've got the 4 that just sail over guys' heads. Where it's like, well, how is this happening? And again, that's just Bo. Again, there's no reason to think that's who he is because we've seen him play well. Like Courtland Sutton missing 2 blocks that blow up screens that should have been double-digit gains. That's not who Courtland Sutton is. So I don't even want to say like, the problem is the players are bad. The problem was just that the players were really bad on Sunday. And, we talked about the screens. Of the 11 screens, 9 of them should have picked up a first down. But Court misses 2 blocks. Adkins drops the 3rd down. You miss the block near the goal line, and Courtland Sutton doesn't even have a chance to get into the end zone. I'd call that one of the 2 that shouldn't have worked anyway. Garrett Bowles and Troy Franklin have a double team on a DB. Somehow the DB beats both. Like, you go through all of those. People are pissed about the screens, which I was too Sunday night, and then you go back and look and say, all of these 9 of the 11 were set up perfectly for big gains, but they just didn't execute.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the rub though, is okay, well, if the guys can't execute them, stop calling them. It's the same thing I've been yelling at Pat Shurmur and the Buffs. Like, they love to run those screens too. The wide receivers aren't blocking them. So that just means stop calling them.
But at the same time, like, their shift was, okay, we're running these behind Nate Adkins, Courtland Sutton, and Trent Sherfield. It should
work, yes.
Right. If you have Courtland Sutton, the 2 that he blew were both against Drew Phillips. Courtland Sutton, 6'4", 218 pounds. Drew Phillips, 5'11", 180.
Yeah.
Like, I know that it didn't work the first time, but I like the odds of Courtland Sutton winning that block and making something happen more than I like a J.K. Dobbins run, even though I like those as well. If I'm Sean, I'm pulling my hair out on the sidelines because I'm upset about it, but it's not enough for me to say like this, it should work. He can do it.
Totally. And the game plan was, hey, the best position group on the Giants is their pass rushers. So let's get the ball out quick. Let's get it to the playmakers on the edge and let them go make plays. And so like the thing about, and I don't want to make this a Pat Shurmur thing, but since Broncos fans understand it too.
We did, Russ. We might as well do the Pat Shurmur thing too. Yeah.
Like the thing about Sean is when I go and I watch what they're doing offensively, I can always understand why they're doing it. That's not always the case with all offensive coordinators.
Yeah.
And so the game plan was get it out to the guys in the flats and let them make plays. Let's block let's use our big guys to block their small guys. Mm-hmm. They weren't executing. That's a big problem. At that point, I think like doing it, you said there was 11.
Most of Bo Nix's career.
I think I would
Never hit
have.
double
I think I would have
digits.
pulled the plug after about 5.
Yeah.
When
The fifth one was the second from court.
Yes,
Yeah.
and then the one on the goal line really drove me crazy.
That was a bad call.
On 4th down. Like put the ball in the box.
I
One
completely
way or
agree.
another,
Yeah.
the ball needs to go into the box.
Also wild how that DB took out court.
Yeah, I mean, great
was-
play by them, but the look wasn't right for that.
Yeah.
And also Pat Bryant missed his block there, and so Court got hit at the line of scrimmage instead of
Atkins-
getting the 2 steps head of steam.
Nate Atkins pancaked his guy.
Blew a guy up.
Yeah, he did. Anyways, there's just anytime something's going wrong or everything's not going right, not even necessarily going wrong, we have to point the finger. We don't want to point it at Bo Nix.
We don't.
We don't want to point. We don't want to point it at Cortland Sutton. And so the offensive line is doing a good job. People have to find somewhere to point the finger, and I think it's just landing on Sean Payton. Sean Payton's greatest asset to this team is his play calling.
100%. In his play design and knowing the feeling of when to call plays. And so there are some things I mentioned that I would like to see Sean Payton do a little better and a little different. One of them is, I'll call it 2-minute offense, because Sean doesn't want to hear about tempo, as he boldly said after the game. I want Sean to allow Bo to get in a rhythm. And if that means going up tempo, if that means going 2 minutes, if that means going faster early in the game, then I want to see it. And Sean, you allowed Bo to do that in the first quarter against the Jets. And what do? You get 10 points in that quarter. You stop doing that and you get 3 points the rest of the game. You do not have to do tempo 60 minutes in the game. That's not what I'm asking, but don't wait until desperation mode to do it. Or if it works in the first quarter like it did against the Jets, then keep doing it. It, again, doesn't have to be the entire second quarter, just like it wasn't the entire first quarter against the Jets. But let's have that sprinkled in more throughout the game. Let Bo get comfortable. That's clearly where he's comfortable right now. And Ryan, you talked about this relationship and dynamic and building chemistry between Sean and Bo. It's got to be a little bit of a two-way street. It can't just be Bo learning what Sean wants to do and only that. It's also got to be Sean giving Bo a little bit of what he wants to do and find that balance right there. And then the second thing is run the ball more, and not just when you're up by 10 points or 17 points. And Ryan, J.K. Dobbins was running for 6 yards per carry in the first 3 quarters of the game, but they just went away from it. And how did they start the game? Pass, pass, pass. Yep. Oh, next series, pass. 4 straight passes. And there's just no rhythm there. And running the ball kind of helps you get into a rhythm as well. So Sean Payton is not perfect. No one's perfect. Yes, there's things he can improve on, but because there's things that he can improve on, does that mean he needs to be taking away play calling duties? No, of course not.
It just should have been such an easy way to get Bo in a rhythm, though, because, again, first throw, Pat Bryant, right here, easy target. This is, I mean, it's like, what stores? Shields has them, right? Where you have like the little machines where you just like get to throw the ball. They have like the big games, you're the quarterback and you try to hit the target.
Yeah.
It's basically that. That was the throw
Target
on first
practice.
down. Like, that should be a rhythm builder. And like Cortland Sutton, that second pass, like a tough catch for sure. But you should have been able to give him those 2 completions. So even though like, yeah, you could probably lean on the run, whatever it may be, what they did also should have worked. And I think if you're Sean, the fact that the finger is getting pointed at you must be so frustrating after everything that happened in that game.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's especially hard because most people are not watching the film, and I don't expect like the average fan at home to be like pulling up the all-22 and evaluating it to make sure their takes are right. But it looks very different when you zoom it out than when you're just watching it on TV. And I wish they would let us watch the all-22 on TV, but they haven't really gotten there yet.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been on the post-game show saying, what the hell are you doing with all these screens, had we been able to see anything other than like random guy flying out from nowhere blowing him up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. So it's a nuanced thing, but Sean Payton's never giving up play calling duties. It's like, I don't know, asking the head chef to give up cooking. Like, he's not doing that. That's what he's here to do.
He's giving up play calling duties when he's either fired or retires.
Totally. Exactly.
More likely Bo gets benched than Sean gives up play calling.
Neither
way.
is happening.
Again, it's back to like the Russ or Sean Hall of Fame thing, but like, that's where I'd see it.
Neither thing is happening. Like these guys are going to the moon or down with the ship together.
To hell.
Wow. Yep. I completely agree. Guys, we've kind of made it very clear throughout this week that the players need to step up. I think that's exactly what Sean Payton said without saying it. I want you to listen to this clip that we've got after I give a shout out to our friends over at the Gold Crown Foundation, where if you grew up playing basketball in Colorado, chances are you played in the Gold Crown Competitive Basketball League. In today's league, there's divisions for 4th to 8th graders, feeder teams, gold, silver, and bronze, and club teams, elite and open as well. Not only play in high school gyms, but at the Gold Crown Fieldhouse, which is a beautiful facility with multiple basketball courts, high energy. There's 6 courts there, and now's the time to find a team in your area. Tryout pages are on their website, or you can check with your local school. You can learn more and sign up by scanning the QR code right there on the screen next to the words Gold Crown Foundation, or visiting goldcrownfoundation.com. This is something for everyone. Whether you have kids, you want to get involved, you can do this by scanning the QR code on the screen or visiting goldcrownfoundation.com to get involved in hoops.
Also, shout out to our friends over at Ent Credit Union who have the awesome Bo Nix debit card that you can see on the screen there. Where is ours? We have it somewhere. You have it in your pocket?
Henry's pocket. He's been swiping the company card.
Henry's been swiping it because he knows that every 15 swipes.
Oh, there it is.
Oh,
Wow,
Yaya's been swiping it.
Wow.
He swiped it so he could swipe it. That's crazy. Anyway,
he did swipe it.
Everyone wants to swipe the Bo Nix debit card because every 15 times you swipe it, you get entered for a chance to win Broncos tickets. Not to mention, when you go to a game, you're getting 10% off food and gear on game days at Mile High. So if you're ready to bank like a Bronco, head over to ent.com/DNVR. That's ent.com/DNVR to learn more. Insured by NCUA, membership required. Account requires associated Ent Broncos debit card. Go get yourself one.
And go get yourself a Bet365 account. Use that code DNVR365 when you sign up. So Monday after the game, Sean was asked, okay, so if it's not play calling, well, how do you fix what is going wrong with the offense when they stall out? And here's what Sean had to say, saying it's about personnel. You hear? Let's play that clip.
Look, we gave up 5 or 6 3rd and 10 or 4th and long conversions. I think you start with who. Who is it we're asking to do certain things from a personnel standpoint? There may be some guys playing time go up and some might begin to diminish. But you look closely at the personnel, then you look at the scheme, and does it fit us? So there's a lot to that question, but it's a good question.
You look at personnel, who's doing what. Some guys' playing time might go up, some guys' playing time might diminish, and then you look at scheme. He's saying the players.
Yeah, I mean, we
need to play better.
We're 7 games in now, and that means it's time to start figuring out in basketball what we would call the playoff rotation. You got to figure out who has to be on the field for you. Who are the guys that you can trust, because you can't afford, come playoff time, to have this guy make a mistake that costs you. If you watch the Nuggets at the end of the year, they're down to like 8 guys max who are playing in big games. And that's what Sean needs to get to. It's something Benny's been talking about since early in the season, is like, there's just too many guys out there. And I honestly think that's what Sean was alluding to a little bit. Like, he's going to get to a place. I just saw, this was in relation to Travis Hunter, but Liam Cohen was saying, like, okay, after the bye week, we're going to try and play our best 11 players as much as we possibly can. Like, that's where you got to get here. Week 8 is what we're going into.
Yep.
That's about time to start figuring out who really needs to be on the field. Now, you still have to spell guys because you still have half a season left. So you can't fully go into it, but you need to start getting more comfortable with who you can trust to do their job. And not to single someone out, but like someone like Trent Sherfield has not been the guy that I think you thought he was going to be for you on offense. He has not been the little Jordan Humphrey replacement that I think you hoped you would be. So that's a guy that you have to evaluate. Like, is he going to be part of the playoff rotation? Do we need to start cutting back on his snaps a little bit, which they're already pretty low? But like, those are the things you have to start evaluating as you go further into the season.
Yeah, I just don't know. Based on this week, I don't know what I change. So like Cortland Sutton, for example, I'd say he didn't have a good game. Like, yes, there were some catches, but again, when you're looking at like what we're asking guys to do, can you say we want him out there blocking screens after 2 of them were his fault? Like, that's tough to say. But I'd kind of say the same thing about Troy Franklin. I'd say the same thing. I guess Marvin didn't miss any. He was hardly out there as a blocker, though. I just don't know who you're then putting out there. Like, when Pat Bryant misses a block on the screen, he'd be the guy you look at and say, like, okay, maybe we get him on the field more to block those. So I know this is all about the screens in my examples, but I don't see any obvious changes. And maybe there are things in the passing game. Maybe Troy Franklin's not running the routes right, and that's why Pat Bryant, you can justify getting him on the field more. But to me, there just aren't any. I don't see any obvious changes to make, and that just puts it in a tough spot because you're not changing running backs.
Less screens is one.
Yeah.
Again, if those guys aren't going to execute the plays, you can't call them.
Right, but I mean it's an easier play to execute than just about anything else he can draw up.
I think I'd like to see what Bo's numbers were on just traditional drop back passes.
I can find that.
Because I feel like that's where he's actually succeeding. And it was something that my guy Logan, who I was watching the game with on Sunday, pointed out. Is like, we're doing a lot of this quick game stuff that's not working. When you just let Bo be a quarterback, it's working. And we're talking about a really great athlete at quarterback. Yep. When you I know I'm harping on this play, but it's such a harbinger for me, or a microcosm. When you throw a screen on 4th and 1 from the goal line, you're taking away an entire element of Bo's game.
Yeah.
I'd like to have him drop back, let him read the field. He's an accurate passer. If someone's open, he's most likely going to hit them, especially at short range. If it's not, then you have an entire other element, which is Bo taking off.
Yeah.
And every time you call a screen like that, you're taking that element away from Bo's game. When you allow him to drop back, you're allowing him to read it, hopefully make a play downfield with his arm. And if it's not, then he can take off with his legs.
Yeah, well, you're spot on about that. I also wonder a position that we haven't talked about today because we've been focused on the passing game. What about the rushing attack? Because it has been pretty darn clear who the number 1 running back is for the Broncos, J.K. Dobbins. But Sean did try to get R.J. Harvey some run. And guys, I was shocked that R.J. Harvey got the offensive snaps right after he caught that kickoff and went out of bounds right after. I thought he was done for the day. I was blown away that he was the running back out there on the next play. I thought Sean was just going to absolutely lose it on him. But if we look, and I saw someone in the Twitter chat say that R.J. Harvey needs more touches. I like R.J. Harvey, but guys, he has multiple games where he has carries and he has 0 rushing yards, including this last game. And running, it's not all on him.
Touchdown catch.
He had a touchdown catch, but
schemed up.
Did he do anything special on there? I mean, he did catch the ball. I'll give him credit there. But yeah, I agree. It was schemed up. But RJ Harvey had 4 carries for 0 yards. At the exact same time, J.K. Dobbins had 14 carries for 81 yards, 5.8 yards per carry.
And Tyler Bidet gave you a couple first downs as a receiver.
So I wouldn't be surprised if we actually see the opposite of what that commenter in the Twitter chat said. And it's just like,
RJ's not in my playoff rotation right now.
He has 1 play.
Yeah.
That's just the bottom line. And he's a rookie. Unfortunately, he's like a 25-year-old rookie, or maybe only 24.
24. J.K. Dobbins is 26. Crazy enough, he's only 2 years older.
Right. Again, it doesn't mean we're out on Harvey or anything, but based on what we've seen from J.K. Dobbins, if you're and Bo Nix and the offensive line and the receivers and all that, if your game plan in a must-win game isn't feed J.K. Dobbins 20 to 25 times, I don't know what you're doing.
And in this game, he only got 14 carries, and now the Broncos still were able to win. And
what was his long run, though? He had 1 long run.
32 yards.
So you take that away, and obviously that's not exactly how it works. Right. But in the run game, it kind of is, in my opinion.
Sometimes medians are nice.
Yes.
We need to normalize the median.
Exactly. My point being, the run game wasn't successful. I thought that was one of the biggest problems with the offense for most of the game.
That is fair. He also didn't run it that much. Now, I know in the fourth quarter you have to turn to passing in that situation, but it still wasn't even going into that fourth quarter. Any final thoughts about this?
I did pull up the number. So let's see. Oh, I sorted them the wrong way. 0 yards or behind the line of scrimmage. Bo was 8 of 12 this week, 66%. I would have expected maybe just a little bit higher there, considering those should not be in any way contested.
Yeah.
But moving along, from 1 to 5 yards, he was 11 of 19, so 58%. 6 to 10 yards downfield, he was 2 for 6, so 33%. Then 1 for 1, 11, 15, 3 for 6, 16 to 20. And then like 25 and up, 2 for 6. No real hot spots in there, but I guess that's what happens when you go 27 for 50.
Yeah, I mean, it was a 1 quarter performance from Bo.
It really was.
Damn good quarter.
It was
214 total yards from him.
Yeah.
4 touchdowns.
And my point more was not about like pushing it down the field or whatever. It's just like I just want to see Bo in the pocket and allow him to make the decision, throw the ball, take the check down, or take off.
Right.
Man, I want to see him take off more.
Me too.
Because I know it was a designed run where he got that touchdown, but that was, again, I thought he was going to get 5 yards and was going to be a successful play, but then he just shot out of a cannon to get those final 15 yards on that touchdown run.
Yeah.
I want to see it more, whether it's designed, whether it's just on the move, whether it's read options. I want to see it more.
Such a sick play design. Speaking of
It was.
Sean Payton, the play caller.
It was.
Not only is it Sean Payton, the play caller, it's Sean Payton, the play designer.
Yeah,
Which
100%.
we don't talk about enough, I don't think, is like his ability to go and find a weak point, something on film that he can exploit and turn into a touchdown every week.
And then have that gut instinct of know when to call it, too.
Totally. And I mean, it's got to be a hard thing as your offense is sputtering through the entire game to wait for the right moment to call that play, but they had it in their back pocket. And then one other thing that I've noticed is just a random observation. Have you noticed how many times after a big play they say we installed that this week?
Yep.
I think that there's something to when they're installing something for the first time that week, they rep it so many times that week that Bo is so comfortable with it that he nails the throw every time. Like the 2-point conversion in the Eagles game to Troy Franklin, like that is a perfect throw from Bo. I don't think it's a coincidence they installed it that week, which means they probably repped it 20 times in practice, maybe 10, whatever. But it's like he's made that throw repetitive. The back shoulder throw to Cortland on the little switch route, like that's a throw that he's just made so many times in practice that week that I think there's something to that of like those installs and the reps that he's getting on that specific play that week makes it more intuitive for him to make those throws.
The actual crazy thing about, because I agree with you, but the crazy thing about that one, that was the first time they'd ran that play because they installed it so late in the week. They installed it on Saturday. So that's what made it even more impressive.
They installed it on Saturday so that they only ever ran it in walkthrough.
Yep, exactly.
That's wild.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is.
Potentially like in the ballroom of a hotel.
Yep. And the thing too with that is Court, that was designed for Court to get out of bounds. And so despite it not going perfect, they were still able to go and spike the ball and have enough time.
I actually meant to tweet this out. If you notice, I think Court thought he was out of bounds.
Oh.
Drake, because he stands up, he's out of bounds. Drake Greenlaw is screaming at him. Mm-hmm. You're in, go. And like Cortland kind of gets up like he's going to celebrate. And then Drake Greenlaw screaming at him and he sprints back to the middle of the field.
Well, Dre was getting his vocal cords ready for what he was going to do right after the game. And unfortunately, we broke it down so much yesterday. Dre Greenlaw's suspension was upheld. He will miss this week. He will not be in the Broncos facility or practice field this week. So we're not going to see Dre until week 9, meaning first half of the season, Dre's going to play 21 total snaps, which, if you want to put a spin zone on it, he's going to be fresh for the second half of the season. He's going to be fresh for a playoff run.
Deadline edition.
What's that?
Trade deadline edition.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're going to say that. I almost guarantee it. And I also think it's pretty much confirmed that Drake Greenlaw probably said something that you just could never say. I have no idea what it was, but it's like the fact that it was just kind of like an open and shut case. Like, nope, you can't say that.
What did Derek Wolfe said that he was going to eat Phillip Rivers' kids?
Yeah.
I think it was Brady. Was it
Brady?
I don't remember who was.
I guess I hear kids and associate it with Phil.
With Phil.
I mean,
that one's so crazy though, where you like know it's like not a real threat, right?
It's like I have a gun in my locker and I'm going to get it.
Right.
It's a little bit more reasonable than
Yeah.
Because there was no way he was probably actually going to eat those kids. You would think.
Yeah.
But also, I'm not probably. If anybody was going to eat those kids,
right?
Seeing Derek Wolfe this week, it's. I'm around football players all the time, and like I'm used to bigger dudes and guys wearing pads too. Yeah, I know. Derek Wolfe not wearing pads is still just like the most physically imposing dude in the world. It's crazy. And what, he's 5 years removed from playing right now?
Yeah.
It's wild.
Also, seeing some of those pictures, John Elway still just looks like QB1.
Yeah.
Like, there's just like something you look at him, you're like, yeah, that's QB1.
His strut, his posture.
Exactly. Some of the most QB1 energy anyone's ever had.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's crazy how little publicity he got this weekend.
Very under the radar.
Yeah.
It's John Elway. Like it's crazy. I think he might have wanted it to be that way too, but let the players have their moment. But speaking of players, guys, let's look ahead to this Dallas Cowboys team. And I want to ask you, and I'm going to set it up this way. The Dallas Cowboys have the number 2 scoring offense in the NFL and the 3rd worst defense in the NFL. Is this a team that the Broncos should be afraid of? Think about that for a second. And in the Twitter chat, let me know if you are afraid of the Cowboys. Should the Broncos be afraid of the Cowboys? And I'm going to tell you about something you should not be afraid of, and you should, in fact, run toward. And that is our friends over at Toyota. Because if you want the best cars, Toyota has got you covered. Whether you're looking for a sports car, they've got the Supra. Whether you're looking for a truck, they've been in the truck game for generations now. They've got the Tundra iForce Max hybrid truck. So you have the hybrid along with the truck that just adds even more power to the truck that you're going to have. They have 16 different hybrid vehicles to choose from, and Toyota takes command on the road and on the trail, so you can explore the road less traveled, which is perfect for living in Colorado. They're a perfect city car that can also go off the road as well. Check out the RAV4, the Grand Highlander, and my personal favorite, the Land Cruiser, and of course, the 4Runner as well. So if you want to get yourself a Toyota, visit a local Front Range Toyota store at a location near you. AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota and Boulder Grove Toyota and Littleton, Mountain States Toyota and Denver, Stevenson Toyota, East and Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West and Lakewood. Toyota, the official automotive partner of the NFL and the official vehicle of DNVR. Let's go places.
Also, shout out to Taco Bell. I'm trying to think what my next Taco Bell night will be. I'm thinking potentially bar tomorrow with Nuggets, Avs Thursday Night Football. Friday Casa Bonita, actually.
Wow.
So I might actually want a little bit of actual food afterward. Because Montana plays the 8:15 game, Sacramento State. So during that game, probably
Sac
Taco
State.
Bell. If not, Saturday, because Nuggets game. So Friday, Saturday, maybe doubling up on the Taco Bell. There's so much good stuff always, including right now the crispy chicken. And they're bringing the heat. They've got the all white meat marinated chicken that's seasoned with bold Mexican spices, tossed in a crunchy tortilla chip coating, making it the most unique crispy chicken out there. You can get these chicken strips in a taco, a burrito, a la carte.
I like the burrito.
The burrito's the one.
Yep.
I didn't get to try the taco.
I had the taco. It was good. It was
Now what do I do?
It was loaded with so much more than just the chicken too.
Oh, wow. So much good stuff. And you can always go for the Buffs box with 4 Taco Bell classics and a player collectible cup for only $7 to satisfy your Taco Bell crave. Best deal in all Colorado. They donate to CU's Scholarship Foundation every time CU scores a touchdown. So we like them even more. Live Moss at Taco Bell.
All right. And shout out to our presenting sponsor, Bet365. Use that code DNVR365 when you sign up. All right, fellas. Are you worried about the Cowboys? Should the Broncos be afraid of them?
Yes. Afraid. I mean, no, fear nobody. Respect everybody. They should respect the Cowboys as a legitimate threat to them because the Cowboys have a lot of good football players. And I think they're a team that's capable of beating just about anyone on any given week, especially if you don't bring your A game. So they have a serviceable at worst quarterback. I think he's probably a level above that.
I think he's a couple levels above.
Yeah. They have 2 really good wide receivers. They've got a running back who's running really well, running like he did when he was a rookie for the Denver Broncos, if not even better than that. And, they've got a couple guys on defense, but mostly the problems they pose to you is on offense. So this should play into your hand if you're the Broncos. You're saying, okay, all we got to do is use our great defense to stop their offense, and our offense should be able to get past their not good defense. But you have to respect this team. They definitely pose a threat.
You have to. And what's crazy is 2 months ago, they were the laughing stock of the NFL when they traded Micah Parsons. And it's like, what are they doing? They're punting on this season. They're playing for the future. Everyone is just slam dunking on Jerry Jones, understandably and rightfully so. But then this offense came out, and they are legit. Number 2 offense in the NFL, might be just the scariest offense in the NFL. What's crazy about this, guys, this game could be 33-32 like we had last week, or it could be 13-10 because the Broncos offense isn't able to move the ball, but the Broncos defense really steps up. Or it's like, man, they have so many weapons on offense. George Pickens is a legit number 1 receiver playing alongside a legit top 5 receiver in the NFL. Plus Jake Ferguson's playing well at tight end. And then you mentioned it, Ryan. This blows my mind. Javonte Williams is the number 2 running back in the NFL in terms of rushing yards. Number 2. And he's not doing it by getting so many carries. He's doing it by averaging 5.3 yards per carry, which is the second best in the NFL. No, it's the 4th best in the NFL. He's got almost 600 rushing yards. He's got 6 touchdowns, and he's really been consistent. 2 weeks ago, he had a bad game. 13 carries for 29 yards. Outside of that, last week, 116 yards. 3 weeks ago, 135 yards rushing. And then 85, 76, 97, 54. He's the dude that the Broncos hoped they got when they drafted him in the 2nd round. Now, I understand why the Broncos moved on, but good for Javonte. I feel good that Javonte is playing this well, just not this week because it's a little too good.
Yeah, and hopefully the Broncos defense can stop him. I don't think they can. I think maybe they can slow him down. Maybe you can keep him to like 21 points. I just don't see how you do it. I think they've got the mismatches with those 2 receivers. I mean, with Pickens putting up the 89 yards a game, CD putting up 86 a game, you only have one Pat Surtain. And as much as we like what Riley's done, it's a mismatch. It's a pretty significant mismatch.
It's a mismatch on almost every team in the NFL.
Absolutely.
On every
If
team.
not every team.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And these are the games that, you wound up beating the Eagles. And who's the other one we were talking about so much? The Bengals. You wound up beating up on the Bengals, but that was in the Browning era, not the Joe Flacco era. I think this might be the one where you really start to see those struggles. And I just have no faith in this Broncos offense to take advantage of this bad defense. Like, I just don't think that they're a team that's capable of showing up and just, yep, we're better and we're just going to make it easy and we're going to pick up 6 yards every first down. We're going to avoid 3rd downs. And to me, that's the key to this game.
So you're picking the Broncos to lose.
I'm going to be real tempted. I picked them to win every game this year. I just think that this matchup is not good.
And speaking of matchups, I want to dive into that Riley Moss one because, Ryan, you said the 3 biggest misconceptions in Broncos country, and that's one of them, is that Riley Moss isn't good. This is a Riley Moss statement game.
Legacy game.
This is a legacy game. If we want to go that far, I'd like it because if Riley Moss goes out and does what he's done this season and actually clamps George Pickens, Broncos country is going to flip. And I think they're going to be all on him. However, there's a chance when George Pickens goes up against anyone that he cooks him. And if he does that, then, oh my goodness, that loud fan base that just thinks he's bad is going to be so much louder. And whether it's fair or not to him,
it's not fair.
You're right. It's not fair. But I think that this game is so big for that.
I mean, it's big in the sense, in my opinion, in the sense that, like, what did Riley Moss hold T. Higgins to? 37 yards?
Yeah. But yeah, just
if not even less.
to me,
So
there's, yeah. Go ahead.
I'm just going to say, like, if he does that, it should flip things. But at the same time, like, George Pickens is averaging 88 yards a game. So even if you were to allow 65, including like 2 third down back shoulder catches for 27 yards, like, it still should be a good game for Riley Moss. People just aren't able to get their brain in the mind frame to figure that out. So yeah, I mean, shutting down this wide receiving core would be remarkable. It would really allow this secondary to plant the flag as like the best in the NFL if they're able to do that this week. They don't have to do that. They have to contain them. And I think that part is much more attainable.
Right.
And would give you the opportunity to win this football game. Like, you can bend, don't break in this game. That would probably be the best way to win it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
That's exactly how you do it. And a name that we haven't mentioned right now, guys, Dak Prescott is playing the best football in the NFL among any quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
Just as of right now.
Once again.
Once again. And they are relying on him a lot. He has the most completions in the NFL. So he's throwing the ball a lot, and he's throwing for 71.4% completion. Insane. He's got almost 2,000 passing yards. He has 16 passing touchdowns to 3 interceptions, and he started the season at 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. He's gotten 13 touchdowns to no interceptions in the past couple of games. He's something like on a streak that only 3 people have done. 4 straight games of 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, and 125 passer rating or better. Like, he is playing he's playing MVP football right now.
Again.
Yeah, again. To pair
This
with
time
those
he's
2
healthy.
receivers, which help him, to pair with the second best running game in the NFL, this is a very, very scary offense.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you look through the NFL's passing leaders. Number 1, Justin Herbert. He's got another 30 yards on Dak. Give me Dak. Behind him, Stafford. You probably go Stafford. You go Mahomes. But I take him over Daniel Jones. I take him over Baker. I take him over Darnold. I take him over Drake. Like, there's only a handful of guys who I would take over Dak Prescott. And people got all mad when I said I'd take him over Jalen Hurts last year, and he wound up getting hurt and all that. But this is a really, really good quarterback, and it makes it so tough. Like, Jaxson Dart played well. He missed some throws. Dak doesn't miss throws. Like, there are those guys who just don't miss throws. So anytime you have like that little drag, it's just a free 6-7 yards, a free 6-7 yards, keeps them on time. Oh God, not that. But that's what scares me the most, is that it feels like a lot of quarterbacks all year, except for maybe only the Colts game and potentially the Chargers game, just left so much on the table against the Broncos. Like, it felt like, Broncos defense plays well, but also, Justin Fields missed that guy. Or like, Jalen Hurts overthrew AJ Brown. Like,
but the Broncos defense forces you to do those things.
True.
Like, I saw someone the other day, they were like trying to, or maybe it was today, they're trying to like take away who the Broncos have played. And they're like, well, the Eagles offense wasn't clicking when they were playing the Broncos. I'm like, now why do you think they weren't clicking?
Fair.
Because they're playing the Broncos.
Fair.
So, Dak's going to miss a couple this week. I guarantee that you don't normally see him miss because there's pressure on him, or he's expected there to be pressure on him that isn't there.
Right. If you give him a pocket, he's going to pick you apart. That's why, like you said, it's all about the pressure. And I think you have to blitz. It's scary with those weapons, but I think you just have to say, we could have 7 defenders back there, and if Dak has 3 seconds, he's finding a completion. So, like, you just have to send those guys and get home, because otherwise the result is the same. It's a completion either way.
The way that teams have been playing this Cowboys team, and what's really allowed and helped Javonte Williams is play 2 high safeties, because you cannot risk CD and George getting behind you, even with your good cornerbacks. Now with Pat, that frees you up a little bit, but you're still going to want that extra protection. So because you play that sort of defense, it allows the middle to be open a little bit. And Javonte Williams, to his credit, has taken advantage of that.
Totally.
Really quick, Ryan, you mentioned the Riley Moss stuff. He, on players that have a lot of targets, so like mainstay cornerbacks, he has the lowest completion percentage when targeted, 44%. I think there's like 34 qualifying cornerbacks in this, so you have to play a lot. He is the number 1 in terms of completion percentage, which is arguably maybe the number 1 stat you'd want to point to.
Yeah, and so then the Riley Moss detractors will say, well, numbers lie, blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm about to, if you didn't watch it, you should have watched No Lie Zone. But I asked Akib about this specifically. I'm about to tweet the clip right after this show ends. And Akib also says Riley's good. So if you don't believe me, if you don't believe the stats, believe one of the best corners in Broncos history, who says Riley Moss is very good corner.
Especially the show's called the No Lie Zone, and if there's something that I know about Akib, he's gonna keep it 100 on everything, whether you like it or not.
100%. So I don't know what it is. I really don't. It's, I guess people just want him to be perfect, which is not even Pat can do that. So Riley is a really, really good cornerback too.
Did you guys see Bomani Jones go off on this? That was that was something.
The kicker though is that he has the second most pass interference penalties in the NFL, and he has the second most total penalty yards in the NFL. And we go through and say, like, bad call here, bad call there. But the problem
says he's getting profiled.
And I don't even disagree. But like the problem with Riley, as a Riley lover myself, isn't that he's giving up a bunch of completions. It's that he gives up so many penalties.
Yeah, I mean, it's the amount of targets that you get. Like,
right.
He gets so many targets that just all the volume of everything is going to be higher. The volume of PBUs should be higher. The volume of catches that he allows should be higher. The volumes of penalties are going to be higher because he's just in the game constantly. And that's something that Akib brought up too. He's like, well, no one was throwing at me and Chris, so then they threw at Robe, and everyone was saying that Robe sucked.
Right.
You know?
That's a great point.
And so it's just he's doing really well with with the opportunities that he gets, but he's not going to be perfect, and no one is.
Yep, no, exactly. All right, we've got another show coming in soon, so we're going to finish this show in overtime. Go to thednvr.com where we have some super chats to hit before we get out of here. And first one coming in from Pure Lapine, who says, hashtag let's cry at Dangerous Walb.
Never heard of him.
Wow.
Wants to move on. Andrew says, I'm convinced Sean is deliberately calling this plays to put bad tape out to the Chiefs. Not a typical Sean offense. In Bo and Sean, we trust.
That is 4D thinking right there.
If anyone's going to be 4D thinking, though, it might be Sean.
That's true.
Pure Lapine adds, you're right. They are supposed to be creating a bond, so why the hell isn't he seeking out his quarterback between offensive series? He doesn't call defense. I think this is a lose-lose for Sean either way. If Sean just gives up on the defense when they're on the field and is on the bench with Russ and with Sean, with Bo, then he's going to get crushed for not being the head coach. I think that's kind of a lose-lose.
I mean, like, people don't crush McVay for that, but I think that's just not the operation system that they have during the week.
Davis Webb is the one that's
yes,
with him.
Davis Webb goes and talks to Bo during the breaks.
Which is very common, I feel like.
Yeah.
You don't see the head coach over there. Because just because you're not calling the defensive plays doesn't mean you have nothing to do. Like, you're calling the timeouts. You're throwing the challenge. Like, you need to be ready and you need to know what's going on in the game. In part because it changes how you call the game on offense.
Totally.
But also because, like, he's on the headset. It's like, hey, Vance, it's third down. We want to heat him up here. Like, it doesn't mean he's making the call, but he's in the conversation for all these things that are happening.
I wish I could see like what he was saying to Vance right before the Giants' second to last offensive series, where I think this is the one where they got the pick or they got a 3 and out, but he's like screaming at Vance with 3 fingers. I'm like, what is he? What is the 3?
Yeah.
Like maybe he's just saying we got 3 plays, like 3 and out no matter what.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It was interesting. It wasn't like an angry. It was just like fired up, like 3.
Wonder what Sean was saying when the Broncos against the Jets sent all-out blitzes on the last 3 straight plays.
Speaking of calling the timeouts, I feel like not enough has been made of the fact that Sean Payton was flawless in the timeout execution at the end of that game.
Yep. And he started with 4:57 left.
Yep.
It was
Well,
impressive.
and then even before half, when he's calling timeouts when the Giants have the ball, which was a bold thing to do, but it wound up giving them the opportunity. He was right to call them. Now, the offense continued to suck at that point, so it didn't matter. But even those were the right call in hindsight.
And final one coming in from Ahai Singh, who says, do you think Sean Payton overlooked both New York games because they suck and with all the travel involved? Also, with the trade deadline coming up, do the Broncos make a move? Got a couple of weeks until the trade deadline. We're certainly going to be talking about that because if the Broncos have ever been a buyer in the last decade, it's right now. So we will definitely talk about that. I do think the Broncos are going to be certainly in the trade market. What? And do you think they overlooked? Do you think Sean kind of overlooked these 2 New York teams?
No. I think they just played bad football. Because I don't think Court all week was just thinking like, oh, this doesn't matter, and that's why he missed those blocks. Like, I don't think Bo was thinking like, oh, this doesn't matter, and so that's why he missed whatever 30% of his throws.
No, nothing was overlooked.
No, they just didn't play well.
And we're not going to overlook tomorrow's show either. We're going to be back at noon. We've got our guy Baldy joining us tomorrow. We're going to hear from Sean and Bo as they talk today as well. So we will see you tomorrow on the DNVR Broncos podcast. Hit us with a thumbs up on the way out. Liv Moss. We'll see you tomorrow.
You guys know Bell.
We all silly like the the mayor.